Hello, I'm Joshua Habursky, Director of Advocacy for the Independent Community Bankers of America. In this webinar session, we're going to talk about advocacy in general and in digital advocacy specifically. This should be a short overview of what's going on in the community banking advocacy world and how you can get involved in some of the programming that we offer here at ICBA. So what is ICBA Advocacy? ICBA Advocacy is the Independent Community Bankers of America. We're the nation's voice of community banks, whether that's in front of Congress or regulators that are considering policy initiatives that affect community banking. ICBA will routinely call on its advocates to act as a loud, clear, and collective voice. And this can be done in several different ways, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Who are ICBA advocates? ICBA advocates range from community bank CEOs to bank directors to community bank employees and customers, such as small business owners. We'll routinely engage people specifically on the issues that they care about. So if you're a lender, we'll send out communications encouraging you to write to members of Congress or regulators about issues affecting the lending community. Same holds true with tellers and bank CEOs. Will segment different groups of people, even regionally, based on different states or specific members of Congress that we're looking to focus in on. ICBA advocates are a diverse group of people from varying backgrounds with the common interest of promoting community banks. So why is advocacy important? Advocacy is really important in the sense that lawmakers seek out reliable and trusted sources for information as they make key decisions on legislation and policy. They are particularly interested in constituent views. You should be their trusted source on community banking. As a constituent, but also as a community leader, community bankers have the ability to interact with members of Congress and persuade them to see the issues that they face and make changes to help promote community banking and see businesses in the community thrive. So what types of issues do ICBA advocates focus on? ICBA advocates are active on a wide variety of legislative and regulatory issues. These range from regulatory burden, credit unions and the farm credit system, cybersecurity and data security, of course, tax issues, which is going on right now as we speak, and agricultural lending, and many more. How can you get started as an ICBA advocate? Well, you can go to our website on the Be Heard page and sign up to be an ICBA advocate. If you're receiving our email messages already, you're signed up, and you can continue to take action by following our email alerts, posting on social media. Regular taking action on the ICBA action alerts is very important. You'll see some of those in Newswatch today. If you get a dedicated email, that's even more important because we're targeting you at a specific time to really get that message to an elected official at that given moment. Encourage employees and colleagues to participate. We have a lot of CEOs that are highly active in engaging with members of Congress, even meeting with members of Congress routinely, hosting them at community banks. But we want to make sure that everybody in the bank is involved. So spread that around. If you're already an active ICBA advocate, the most important thing that you can do is spread the message throughout the community banking world. Of course, our tagline, stand up, step up, speak up, and be heard. So how else can I advocate for community banks? Of course, voting. If you go to our website, we just released a brand new digital voting resource that talks about polling places, absentee ballots, who's on the ballot, all of the different information that you'll need for elections, and that applies to local, state, and federal. You can get all of that information through that document. Write letters to the editor or op-ed supporting an ICBA position. We have a fantastic communications department here at ICBA and work coordinately with them on a lot of different projects. So I would encourage you to reach out to us, to me, in advocacy, or the folks in our communications department if you are interested in writing a letter to the editor or op-ed, because we can provide some best practices, help with pitching, and also provide some of the framework for the content. Of course, connect with elected officials on social media. And I would say, going beyond connecting with elected officials, engage with them. Post articles and information, whether it's a story in the American Banker or something that is on the ICBA website that you find interesting, post that to the Facebook wall of the member of Congress or tweet at them. Of course, meeting with an elected official in the district or hosting a member of Congress at your bank. This is critically important. In-person interactions has proven time and time again to be the most effective. The Congressional Management Foundation, which does some research in this area, has corroborated that and said really going face-to-face and meeting with members of Congress or staff is what will move the needle, so to speak, on an issue. So engaging with them routinely and creating those relationships, those personal relationships that last. If you come to our annual Capital Summit, it's great to follow up with an in-district meeting in August. Again, we have a comprehensive guide that we produced this year that goes step by step on how to schedule a meeting, but also how to amplify what's going on with the meeting in social media, in the media, and turn it into a holistic event that can get a lot of traction with both the elected official as well as the general public. Learn more about ICBA PAC, the only federal political action committee dedicated exclusively to representing community banks. So are you connected with ICBA? You can see the links that are available on the presentation slide deck here. Our website, /BeHeard, that is our central hub, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the next few slides. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We've been upping our social media game recently and having a lot of fun with it. You may have seen some of our holiday themed campaigns, or Trick or Treat that we run during Halloween, and of course our 12 Days of Advocacy, which we run around the Christmas, New Year's holiday. Now moving into our digital advocacy overview. As I mentioned, we have the central portal on BeHeard. To access that information, you can go to the Advocacy tab, and then it will be Grassroots BeHeard. That's the central landing page for our Grassroots and Grasstops activities, and it has a lot of our resources on it. Here is a screenshot of our Action Center. It features an alert carousel. Those are our most pressing alerts. They'll have an image where you can click, take action directly from there. You can also see all of our action alerts, some that we might not be highlighting at that given time. You can find your elected officials, find key legislation. We're tracking, almost 100 pieces of legislation routinely and categorizing them on specific issue areas. You can see our stance and summary on many of those pieces of legislation that we keep updated. And then, of course, you can sign up to be an advocate if you are not already. Here's an example of an action alert. You'll see an instructions process and description. Some of our alerts will be a form letter where we have pre-written the message that we would like to send to the Senate or the House members of Congress. But we also have some alerts where we will ask for custom input, whether we're soliciting a specific story from you about something that you encountered on reg burden, and talking about how that has affected your customers or your community. We will routinely do that as well. Sometimes we will have legislative, regulatory, media, or custom targets for that. And that's preset. You can see the recipients, who it will be going out to before you click send message. Of course, we have the approval process that is automatic, that when you click send, it will go and it will sign your name to it. So please review that information from that screen. It is editable. A lot of the information, if you've previously taken an alert or you're receiving it from an email message, your information will auto-populate, so you don't have to put as much time and effort into putting this. All you'll have to do is put your email and zip code, and the rest will auto-populate. And that's only for email. If you're taking action from our website, you will have to put your address and your name in there again. Here's an example of an action alert confirmation. It will display the targets that the message was sent to, any restrictions, and it will also give you the ability to share the action alert through email, social media, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, all through that bottom panel there, and you'll see the icons for those social media links directly there. Another important piece of our digital advocacy capacity is the Advocacy Toolbox, and we're continuously adding and updating this section. This is our training warehouse and really is the tools to get you to activate and take action on issues. Here you'll find what is ICBA Advocacy. This is a one-page overview basically about the beginning of the presentation, giving you an overview, a little bit more comprehensive of what we're about and what we're trying to do. We also have a resource, 8 Ways to Be an Advocate. I'd reference that, especially if you're getting ready for, or if you're interested but haven't taken the step yet into signing up to be an advocate. We also have a do's and don'ts section on lobbying. And this is important to reference when you're meeting with an elected official, whether it's at the Capitol Summit or in district. That is a helpful piece to reference. And another one would be the common responses to lawmakers. A lot of times when you meet with elected officials or staff, you're not going to be given the answer that you want to hear right from the onset. So it's important that you're able to refute and provide in a respectful way information that will counter some of the claims that are made or inactivity there. We also have our Meeting on Main Street guide, which, as I referenced before, is our comprehensive document on how to schedule a meeting in district or a bank visit. And it goes through, like I said, the step-by-step process, has sample meeting request letters, and other tools and resources to make this as seamless of a process as possible. And then we also have linked below that the actual lawmaker invitation letter, so you can get to that, access those as a Word document. Congressional Meetings Primer. This is another PowerPoint document which we will be eventually turning into a webinar much like this to provide some additional information on the meeting process. Our goal in Grassroots is to get people to take action and the smallest step that requires the least amount of effort by retweeting or posting on social media to eventually go up the ladders of engagement and send an email letter or sign a petition. But the gold standard, as I mentioned, is really the meetings, and that's why we put a lot of emphasis on that. You also have the legislator lookup tool, which you can find who your members of Congress and senators are, just in case you want to write to them on a specific issue or reference something in advance of a meeting. Some of the other parts of the Advocacy Toolbox, you'll see that bill tracker that I mentioned before, a voter registration section where you can fill out your information and register to vote. The congressional calendars are also linked in this section, so when is Congress in session, when are they out? The ICBA Congressional Relations roster. We have a lot of issue area experts that are happy to be resources to you and your bank. And if you have questions about tax reform, we have a specialist that works on those issues every day. Agriculture and farm credit, we have a person that is designated to that issue area, and they are happy to chat with you and talk about any questions that you may have and provide you resources in advance of any of your interactions with members of Congress or staff. We also have some Grassroots Advocacy frequently asked questions. And then one of our new tools, as I mentioned, we've been working a lot on social media. We have a video log of our Facebook Lives. These are segments that Courtney Schoenborn and I do routinely on Facebook about every 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes we'll bring a guest, but this is really a good area to start to get the pulse of where the ICBA advocacy is going in the next few weeks, and where we've been seeing success. So it's a good update. They only last about 5 to 10 minutes usually. So some other resources, of course, our Plan for Prosperity, which you've probably seen in a couple different emails before. This is a good reference piece. Our state and congressional community bank profiles. You can get information that's specific to a congressional district. So if you're meeting with Mike Kelly in the 3rd District of Pennsylvania, you can pull the community bank profile for Mike Kelly's district and present that to them as a leave behind in your meeting. Same holds true for the Senate, and you can get the state-by-state breakdown. So if you're meeting with Pat Toomey or Bob Casey, you can bring those materials to your meetings and reference the state impact of community banks. You'll also see our policy resolutions in the Advocacy tab, letters and testimony that we've sent to Capitol Hill or regulators. And then I think another incredible resource that we've produced a lot of this year are white papers. And these are comprehensive overviews on different areas. We have one on tax reform and our tax white paper, and a couple other ones that I suggest that you would look at in advance of any of your preparations or interactions with elected officials. We also have the staff contact information, so you can reach out to the folks in the Government Relations and Congressional Relations Department and other advocacy logistics. So there is the link for ICBA staff. This is where you'll find the issue area experts, the policy perspective, and questions. So you can go to that staff directory there. My contact information is below here. I can be a resource to you, and also if you reach out and you have a question, you want to interact with someone on our CR team or our GR team, I'm happy to work with you to get it to the appropriate person if you have some questions about it. Again, I'm the Director of Advocacy, Joshua Habursky. My phone number and cell phone number and email address are there. I look forward to working with you advocates and promoters of community banks in the future, and I'm always happy to take feedback and any ideas on new resources that we can provide to make your lives easier and more efficient to interact and communicate with Congress. Thank you.